Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and I'm going to show you something at the end of this video that I think is pretty eye-opening. I was playing around on the R3 website, and I just happened to bump into something I think you might find very interesting. But we'll get there, don't you worry. I'm going to go through some other things first. First, I wanted to show you there's a lot of new money that has been pouring in the last 24 hours into digital assets. I believe that people are going to begin to anticipate Labor Day because I've kept hearing Labor Day, and that what that ex-Prudential CEO said really keeps sticking out in my mind. But first, let's go talk about this. I tweeted this out. This is from an article that came out in Politico. Brian Brooks is who they're talking about. This quote was pretty cool. Brooks told Politico the agency will be ready as soon as Tuesday, that's today, to start processing applications for charters from payment companies. These are bank charters. Could include financial technology firms like PayPal or cryptocurrency exchanges like Coinbase, his former employer. Did they just tell us that Coinbase is going to try to apply for a bank charter? I don't know. Okay. So then there is this. The Flare Network says yesterday, we named our testnet after Martha Costin, who invented the maritime flare. The snapshot of the XRP ledger for the Spark distribution will be taken on the 194th anniversary of her birthday, December 12th, 2020. So this is when they're going to take the snapshot. This is when your XRP is going to need to be held in a place that is participating in this. One of those is on Ledger Nano S's. And the other BitTruth so far is one, and I know Uphold's working on it, and I know iTrustCapital's working on it. I don't think Coinbase ever even responded, so we'll see about that. But Sergeant Obi-Wan sent me this. This is David Schwartz replying to someone about Flare. It says they're basically just asking you to attach a note to your account on the XRP ledger specifying where you want the tokens to go. So there's something you actually have to do. Well, this guy laid out what you have to do. He says, just claimed my Flare Network Spark tokens using my Ledger Nano S. Thank you to VitSaveN for the extremely clear and simple instructions, and to these guys for the easy-to-use web interface that unlocks the full power of the XRPL. Instructions are here, okay? And this guy is at Zach, ZACSHAIKEN, if you want to go get this link. It's flare.weetsay.com. But he says prerequisite steps for anyone who hasn't used their ledger in a while. Make sure you have Ledger Live. Update firmware and bootloaders until you're completely up to date. You may have to uninstall your apps. This is okay. Once you reinstall, your coins will be there. So they lay out how to get your ledger set up for that. Okay, here's another piece of news I wanted to show you. The Fed could be locked into zero rates for 5 years or even longer. Well, this puts us as crypto or gold and silver holders in the perfect position, because the beneficiaries of this disaster, there's really only a handful, and those are two of the biggest winners in my opinion. All right, now this is something that I have thought all along. You know, Monero has been called a privacy coin since it came out, and nobody could track it and all this. I was talking to someone one time. It was actually someone who was I believe they were an accountant, and they said, you know, if there was one digital asset that I would think that was created by the government, it would be one of these privacy coins, such as Monero. And the point they were making is, how genius would it be for a government to put out there something like Monero, and then for the next few years, you talk about you pretend as a government like you're trying to figure out a way to ban all of these privacy coins because criminals will be able to hide their money. What if that was nothing more than an operation to get people to put all kinds of money that's criminal, money that's been gotten by criminal means, whether it's drug money or terrorist money, to get them to funnel that money into those digital assets? It would be a genius plan. Then you know where it is, then you can track it, and then you can take care of it. There's a part of me that believes that there's a lot of fire where that smoke is right there. But this is U.S. Homeland Security can now track privacy crypto Monero. The popular privacy coin might not be so private anymore, as CipherTrace claims to have developed tools to trace it. And there's a tweet. CipherTrace announces world's first Monero tracing capabilities for law enforcement, government, and virtual asset service providers. Folks, I was born at night, but not last night, baby, as Kid Rock says. Okay, Joni Eagle Bronson sent me this. NASA, this is from the Cryptic Poet. NASA exploring blockchain technology that could help power mission to Saturn's icy moon. Blockchain in space. Where have we heard about that as a potential? Now, Bloomberg Markets put this out. The UAE and Israel are focusing on banking and finance as they advance peace talks. While I read part of this to you, I want you to think about Ken Kurson on Ripple's board and Jared Kushner, his buddy, and how Jared Kushner has been over there in the Middle East and working the Israeli peace deal. He just happens to be best buddies with Ken Kurson on Ripple's board. If it was just that, I wouldn't think much of it. But if you look at the rest of the board, it makes me think something of it. Now listen to the words in this article. Israel and the United Arab Emirates agreed to advanced cooperation in the banking and finance. So it's not about just peace over there. It's about money. It's always about the money, folks, isn't it? Israel and the United Arab Emirates agreed to advance cooperation in banking and finance in the first protocol of, I like that word, protocol of understanding signed since two countries began peace moves. A joint committee will study the dismantling of financial barriers to investment in each other's markets. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's office said they'll also discuss advancing joint investments in capital markets and cooperation in banking services and payment regulations. The announcement came as UAE and Israel prepared to wind up the first round of talks after agreeing last month to establish ties, a first between the Jewish state and the Gulf Arab nation. Could you really change the world without having peace in Israel and the Middle East? I don't think you really could. I think it would have to be a part of it. Now, PTS at Pax Tech Services sent me this. Yesterday, remember, the day before yesterday, we had an internet outage across the world. Then yesterday, we had all kinds of different financial firms go down their websites. We had TD Ameritrade. I can't remember if E-Trade was one of them. Charles Schwab was one of them. And Robinhood, and I think Vanguard. Today, we have SCB Thailand, which happens to be a Ripple customer. Currently, there's a problem that cannot transfer money via SCB Easy App channel to different destination banks. How can you do transactions through various channels such as ATMs, CDMs, or SCB EasyNet as visual? Sorry for the inconvenience. And I don't know what that language is. All right. Now, I thought this was interesting. One thing we've never heard a lot of is anything personal about David Schwartz. In fact, I've looked at his resume and I can go back as far as the university. I think he went to University of Houston is where he went to college. And we know that he was like a contractor or something with one of those government agencies. But before the college thing is where anything I've ever been able to find stops. We can't find it. I've never seen anything before University of Houston, and I haven't really seen anything after University of Houston. There's a hole there. This is the $1 trillion man, as Forbes called him, but he doesn't even have a Wikipedia page. I think he does have a LinkedIn page, but there's a hole, as I recall, there's like a hole in it. Okay, but today, the last 2 days, he has put out a picture of his father and of his sister at a distance. His father really enjoying some cotton candy. Okay, and then here's a picture of him and his sister a very long time ago. I can tell that's him. He looks a lot like Jerry Garcia. Maybe he's Jerry Garcia's son, because Jerry Garcia, of course, is Grateful Dead and wrote the song Ripple. That would make it all make sense, wouldn't it? Okay, so this is what I stumbled upon. This is what I wanted to show you. Okay, as we all know, R3 is at ground zero of what is going to happen with Ripple. R3 has everything to do with everything. R3, I believe, is the center point of everything that's about to happen. Okay, this was a tweet from R3 today. Now, I want you to take note. Once again, remember, we had Stellar. They have a rocket ship, and we've all thought, oh, rocket ships, that means they're wanting cryptocurrencies to go to the moon. That's kind of what we've all assumed. They've got all these logos having to do with rocket ships. I don't think it has to do with cryptocurrency mooning at all. I think it has always had to do with the idea that at some point satellites are going to be a big part of this new intergalactic currency and financial system, because I believe there's going to be 5G coming off those satellites, and I believe there are going to be nodes, and I believe there will be nodes for XRP as well as XLM, Stellar. So watch what I just happened to stumble across as a result of this tweet. So they say this is double the number of companies actively building on Corda in the venture development program since January. Want to get involved? Learn more about the program here. All right. So let's do a refresh here. This is a video that's on R3's website. Life in the Fast Chain, episode 52, enabling. This is from August 25th, 2020. I want you to look about right here. It's not the video that I want you to see. It's what's behind his head that I want you to see. This is a guy that runs. I want to find if I can find a good where his head moved a little bit.
That he's built around projects. As a matter of
You guys are kind of,
You can see it. You can see it right there. XRP is right there. This guy's company is called Flatstone Trident Exchange. Okay. You've got XRP right there. You got Stellar Lumens right there. You got Swift GPI right there. What do all three of those have in common? There's a good trivia question. You got Quorum, R3, IBM Hyperledger. Okay. This is apparently the ecosystem, because I think that's his company's logo, but this is the ecosystem for his company. And I went to look at his company. This is David Rudder's wife, I believe, by the way. But I went to look at his company. It's called Trident X, Liquidity and Payments, Real-Time Settlements, and Global Payment Solutions. There he's got Swift. And then down here, it says Trident X leverages decentralized computing infrastructure, providing true liquidity for tokenized physical assets such as commodities, real estate, and private equity. LPX supports 3 payment rails, Swift GPI, and next generation blockchain payment platforms such as Ripple and Stellar. I've always believed that Ripple and Stellar were like brother and sister. They both have an X, and they both looks like are going to plug into Swift GPI. Now, in the course of spending a little time today on R3's website, I also ran across this that I've never played, I don't think, on this channel. This happens to be a guy, Jorg Lesmus from Everest. Remember Everest? Because I'm going to remind you.
State your name and your role at your company.
I'm Jorge Lesmes, and I'm a senior manager on the banking practice of Everest. Everest is an entity data company. And also as well, I'm the head of the blockchain banking practice, which I co-founded around 2.5 years ago. My role mainly is to, first of all, define the value proposition of the practice, as well as to oversee the different projects that we are implementing for end clients, and nurture as well all the partnerships that we have. For example, the one that we have with you guys, R3.
Yeah, so why did you decide to build on Corda?
First of all, we knew that the company we were going to partner with had to have an open source product, and it had to be an enterprise-grade product, both of which Corda meets. But more importantly, what we saw in Corda was that it was the only DLT platform that was built from the ground up to manage financial agreements between regulated financial institutions. I know that you will tell me now that Corda is cross-industry, but...
All right. So I wanted to show you that because that guy basically consults with companies and banks and stuff like that. And he tells you right there what they're going to implement. Now, this is a tweet from Jack the Rippler. 90% of the GPI members are Ripple members to use the ISO standard 20022. R3 integrated the XRP ledger. R3 integrated Swift GPI. All GPI members has the option to use R3 Corda Settler XRP. Don't listen to the naysayers. Everyone will use XRP. And remember, XRP is used with Corda Settler, okay? Integrate GPI and Corda Settler. Well, I'm here to tell you right now, folks, I believe Stellar is going to be in that mix too. I believe these have always been brother and sister, and I believe it's going to be in the mix. And I think this little graphic, again, I'll ask you one more time. What does XRP Stellar and Swift GPI, what do all three of these little logos have in common? Just wanted to bring that to your attention. So here's the Everest document. Remember, now that we've shown you the head of the blockchain at Everest, this is what they said is going to happen. By 2020, ILP becomes the standard protocol. 2020 to 25, R3 Corda, DAH, Hyperledger Fabric. And then we have, as we go down, we can see Corda, Ripple. This is Interledger Protocol. Hyperledger Foundation members, R3. And as you go down further, we go to our favorite slide, which is the last slide. XRP Ledger, there's R3. Everything's connected, is it not? Now, I'm gonna finish this video by showing you something that I did this morning. I told you back during the .com bubble, we would all buy domain names because you didn't ever know if you were going to find a domain name that was going to be worth something. Well, in my part of the country, and I was telling you about unstoppable domains. These are domain names for money. Well, my wheels got to turning. In my part of the world, American football, college American football is a very, very big deal. So what I did this morning is I decided that I would buy a few of these unstoppable domains myself. You can see I've got digitalassetinvestor.crypto, but this morning I bought ArkansasFootball.crypto, Auburn Football, where I went to school, AuburnFootball.crypto, ClemsonFootball.crypto, FloridaFootball.crypto, Georgia Tech Football, that's where my dad went to school, Georgia Tech Football.crypto, LSUFootball.com, or .crypto, NebraskaFootball.crypto, OklahomaFootball.crypto. These are just, I got Ole Miss Football.crypto, Tennessee Football.crypto, and Yale Football.crypto. So this is, to me, this is a fun thing. And I know that little names of different things are going to pop into my head, but I just wanted to give you an example and show you this is what I did this morning. I literally bought, they're like $40 a piece. I put a description, in my description of all my videos, I put a link to this Unstoppable Domains, but this is cool for only $40 for me to be able to, place a few little bets like this. You never know who's listening that might be interested. Some of you don't understand football in my part of the world. College football is crazy, especially now because there's a lot of pent-up demand. People are dying for football to start back. And so I will bet you that there's somebody listening to me that's saying, I will buy that NebraskaFootball.crypto from you in a second. These people are fanatics around here. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, and tell your friends and family that today's the day that the digital asset investor, if you haven't joined my newsletter, it's digitalassetinvestornewsletter.com, or in the description of all my videos. You click on the link, put your name and email address in. Today, I will be sending out later on today all of the digital assets that I own, as well as anything else blockchain related that I own, or I would even say inflation related. Thank you for listening.
Every day, billions of people around the world are mocked, ridiculed, laughed at, and embarrassed by their friends, family, and even strangers. These people go through their days knowing there are secrets being kept from them. They hear the faint whispers behind closed doors. The information and knowledge is held very close and only shared with others who were fortunate enough to find out. Feeling lost, rejected and ostracized, these people give up, never finding out what digital assets the digital asset investor holds. But there is hope. Join the free Digital Asset Investor email newsletter and find out what digital assets he owns each month, including investments he's considering. Click the link in the description of this video or go to digitalassetinvestornewsletter.com. Put an end to your days of gloom and depression. Join the greatest free digital asset email newsletter ever created.